A growing number of federal judges are issuing warnings that the Trump administration's mass deportations could expand to include U.S. citizens. Politico reports some courts have noted that the Constitution's Fifth Amendment involving due process makes no distinction between citizens or non-citizens. We're on all things immigration. CBS News correspondent Lilia Luciano is here in Studio 57. So, Lilia, let's talk about a program in California. The Department of Homeland Security has subpoenaed California's cash assistance program for immigrants. What are they looking for and why?
So this is a program that is, by the way, state funded. This is not that federal funds are going to it. So that's important to note if people are concerned that immigrants are receiving Social Security benefits, which they don't. They pay taxes. They receive very few of the benefits. But specifically in the subpoena, they're looking for the names of people, the date of birth, application, the copies of the applications that they submitted, their immigration status, proof of ineligibility, and the affidavits that were signed for them by people who support their applications. That proof of ineligibility, what that means is if you cannot receive, because of your immigration status, certain benefits, and this only applies for people, the people in California who receive them are people who are elderly, blind, and disabled. It's a very small number of people who actually are part of this program, who can benefit from this program. So part is that. But the concern that immigration attorneys and people who support these immigrants who live with them, perhaps family members, the ones who have submitted these affidavits, have expressed is over their privacy. There's a concern that this might be a way to pursue the administration's goal of mass deportation. Now you're asking legally for information to be provided, not just from these people who are legally in the states, not citizens, but legally, or in some small, very few cases, people who are not eligible for deportation but might be undocumented. Again, it's a small number of people, but that this information could put them and their communities at risk. That's some of the concerns over this.
Okay, and a group of roughly 36 white South Africans have now landed at Washington's Dulles Airport today after being offered refugee status by the Trump administration. What should we know there?
Well, this is something that has alarmed the international community and the community of people who work with refugees in this country. I mean, you have to keep in mind that the administration has removed refugee status from people from countries, people who are fleeing famine, people who are fleeing violence, people who basically need to leave in order to survive. This is a very small group of farmers, and I have been in touch with our colleague, Deborah Pata, who has been investigating this. She says, look, I have talked to officials, I have talked to farmers, and everybody agrees that she's interviewed of most of the people, that this is a false narrative. If they are citing violence, she was sharing some numbers with me that, look, there is a lot of violence in South Africa, but from almost 200,000 people killed in a period of time, 7 have been farmers in total, reminds us that, look, since the end of the apartheid, it's the people who have benefited the most have been white South Africans. That white South Africans still own more than or around half of the land and represent only 7% of the population. So it is a very important question that we must ask our administration. Why are people from countries like Sudan, from DRC, why are people from places like Venezuela that are persecuted for political reasons no longer having access to temporary protected status, or countries like Haiti? And we're receiving this group who claims violence without us really seeing that they meet the bar, or whether they meet the bar that people from other countries have in the past, and why it took just months versus years, as is the case and has been historically for refugees from other countries.
Lilia Luciano, thank you.